We'll, we will have the Springfield Township Board of Trustees meeting. It is January 14th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. Mr. Burning, may we please have the roll call?
Yes. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Burning.
Present.
Mr. Honlaw.
Present.
All trustees are present.
Next, would everyone please join me, stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first thing that we have on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes for a special meeting in zoning case ZC 2019-004 for the property at 8989 and 9007 Winton Road that occurred on December 9th, 2019. We also have minutes from our regular session on December 10th, 2019, a special meeting for a bid opening on December the 18th, 2019, and our regular work session organizational meeting which occurred on December 19th, 2019. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Next, Mr. Burning, do we have our fiscal officer financial report?
Yes, we do, Mr. Honlaw. Because the financial department is still working on closing not only the month of December, but also all of 2019, exact figures for the month of December are not yet available. They'll be posted on the Township website as soon as they are available. But I do request a motion to approve the receipts, warrants, and payroll expenditures for the period ending December 13th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and I just want everyone to know that all our financial information is available on our website 24/7 and in our offices during regular business hours. Thank you, Mr. Honlaw.
Thank you, Mr. Burning. Next, turning the meeting over to our Township Administrator, Mr. Gilbert, for a departmental action and discussion items.
Thank you, Mr. Honlaw. The first action item I have, and I'll let Laura jump in here as needed. As you remember, the county and the city went through a contentious period regarding the county water rates. And ultimately, I think after upwards of a year of negotiation, it has been resolved. As you know, the township entered into as a interested party into the lawsuit on behalf of basically the township. And at this time, since that contract has been settled, Ms. Abrams is asking for authorization to enter a entry of dismissal regarding our participation in the lawsuit, and that would allow us to then resolve it as far as Springfield Township is concerned. So I don't know if you want to add anything additional.
Springfield Township is a beneficiary to that contract. We're not a direct signatory, but obviously all of the townships benefit from those water rates as well, which is why we intervened in the lawsuit with 6 other jurisdictions back when it became clear that this was going to be a difficult case. There were some initial hearings. We did attend those. Ultimately, I think all parties realized it made sense to settle this, and the city and the county settled first, obviously, because they're the signatories. At that point, it's just left for the rest of the jurisdictions. I have been in contact with the law directors for all of the other townships, and we're all in agreement that it makes sense to go ahead and enter the dismissal on our front as well. I sent the board the agreement as the entry states. Basically, the rates will be continued and the contract will be continued until December 31st of 2069. So if there are things to resolve, with any luck, we'll be able to resolve them before 2069. So I'm not sure which ones of us want to still be here then, but
This will be here, yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, I wish longevity to everyone, so maybe we'll all be signing it. But at this point, I believe it's appropriate to enter the entry of dismissal. I just need your authorization to do so.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I do want to take just an opportunity. Laura, as always, to thank you for your input and guidance in this case. This was a very important case. It was we've all seen our sewer rates go sky high, and this was going to be water rates on top of that. So this was a big thing. We can thank the county commissioners for calling the city of Cincinnati to task on this thing. It was something, and the other 6 jurisdictions townships that joined into the suit, it made a difference when we were down in front of Judge Ruhlman, I think.
Absolutely, and the
Yeah.
county sent thanks to the law directors, but obviously to the boards who authorized us to pursue it, saying believe it made a difference in negotiations, because it was going nowhere, and then all of the jurisdictions united in the case.
Yeah.
So I do believe it was helpful,
Sometimes there's power in numbers.
absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Next on the action item list is, as the board is aware, back on December 18th of 2019, we received bids for the project to remodel the interior of the Grove Banquet Hall, the Community Arts Center, as well as the potential of constructing an outdoor amphitheater here on the Civic campus. While the bids were somewhat exploratory in nature to determine how much actually it would cost to make those improvements, we received 2 bids, one from Graybach LLC and one from Schrute and Zimmerman. Graybach had a combined bid of just over $2.2 million, which included everything, both the interior remodeling as well as the construction of the outdoor amphitheater. And Schrute and Zimmerman submitted a bid of just under $1.3 million to remodel the interior of those 2 facilities. After significant conversation and much thought and consideration, I think it's our recommendation that the board award the bid to Schrute and Zimmerman for the interior remodeling of the Grove Banquet Hall and the Community Arts Center. As the board is aware, those are 2 facilities that are in desperate need of renovation. They provide a valuable benefit to the township as far as meeting space and providing community services through Arts Connect and various other opportunities for residents to engage with each other in quality of life events. Beyond that, they are a significant source of revenue from the rentals that we receive from those 2 facilities, which in some years exceed $300,000 a year. So while the $1.299 million investment seems a lot, if you realize that those facilities bring in $250,000 to $300,000 a year in revenue, and substantially more now that they'll be more updated, we can start charging more for rentals, especially with the Grove Banquet Hall. So it is an investment that's going to provide a return over many, many years. So I would ask, with any additional conversation, that the board authorize and award the bid to Schrute and Zimmerman at $1,299,200 for the interior remodeling of the Grove Banquet Hall and the Community Arts Center.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I would just add, could we also include in that motion that we authorize the township administrator to execute that contract?
Pending final legal review.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. Next on the agenda is to set the public hearing dates for the permissive motor vehicle license tax that the state authorized. That would be, the dates we're looking at, and the statute's sort of odd in where it requires these hearings to take place. So we are proposing that the first hearing take place February 11th at 5 p.m., and then the second hearing take place at February 19th at 5 p.m. in order to remain consistent and in compliance with what the statute requires.
Does that work with everyone's schedule?
Yes.
Yes.
It does with mine as well. Do we have a motion to set the 2 meetings at those times?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Relatively brief personnel update. As we're aware, we did have the retirement of Gwen McFarland from trustee. Actually, I don't know if retirement's the right word, but she did not choose to run again. And we have Christy Davis as a new board member. So while they're technically not personnel, we do update them on the personnel update just to be consistent with past practice. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the fire department, we did have the resignation of Patrick Clendenin, part-time EMT firefighter. His date of resignation was January 1st, 2020. And that is all I have for the personnel update. And before I turn it over to Kim for community events programs, I would like to let the board know that as we have in the past previous 5 or 6 years, we do have another Ohio Public Leaders Fellow from Miami University. And it's Austin Lorenzo. He's here in the audience tonight, sitting in front, being very studious. He's been with us this is his second week, and he's being indoctrinated into the day-to-day activities of Springfield Township. So I'm sure he'll have a lot of stories to share when he gets back to campus, and maybe to his professors as to why he's switching his major from public administration. I'm not sure. But in any event, Austin aspires to move on to law school after Miami, so we wish him luck, and he'll be, I guess, attending, what school in St. Louis are you going to, Austin? Washington University in St. Louis, starting in the fall. So we wish him luck. Now I'll turn it over to Kim for community events programs.
Thank you. At this time of the year, we're normally getting ready for our daddy-daughter dance and mom prom, but with the pending renovations, those events are not being held. We have a lot of classes that are being offered in partnering facilities. So we are doing our Arts Connect classes at the YMCA, Wyoming Fine Arts Center, Wyoming Recreation Department, St. Vivian's, Ohio Living Land Fair, and at Faith Lutheran Church. So we have coordinated with those agencies to run classes. We do have one community event coming up on January the 31st, and we're bringing Playhouse in the Park. They're doing the show Stuart Little, and we are going to the Wyoming Fine Arts Center. They are our community partner with that to run that free program at 7:00 p.m.
Okay, Kim, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim. The board has copies of the departmental activity reports. Unless there are any questions regarding those, that does conclude my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Next, moving on to board resolutions this evening. The first resolution we have is Resolution Number 7, 2020. This is a resolution amending Resolution Number 114, 2018 to remove duplicate parcels from the schedule of assessment and certifying the same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have Resolution Number 8, 2020, authorizing the private sale of unneeded and unfit for use property in the Community Arts Center. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have Resolution Number 9, 2020, granting approval for a zoning map amendment for listed parcels from R2 Residence District to SPPUD, Special Purpose Planned Unit Development, and approval of a preliminary development plan. This is for the property over on Daly Road, just west of, or it's on Compton Road, just west of Daly. We had a meeting last night, and this will be for the Ken Anderson Alliance, who's building a facility in Springfield Township for disabled people. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have Resolution Number 10, 2020, declaring nuisances pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87 at various listed properties within Springfield Township and authorizing statutory actions necessary to abate the nuisances. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have Resolution Number 11, 2020, establishing assessment for abatement of nuisance and certifying the same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Burning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next, we have Resolution Number 12, 2020, establishing assessment for abatement of dangerous property condition and certifying the same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Ms. Davis. Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Honolo.
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Do we have any old business before the board this evening? Do we have any new business? In appearing that there is none, we're now to the citizens' participation part of the meeting. If there is anyone here that would like to address the board this evening, we would ask that you come up, state your name and address for the record. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Robin Hendley, 6341 Ridgefield Drive. First, congratulations on your swearing in. I was late, but I was here before you said I do. I was just way in the back.
Thank you so much.
I take the bus to work, and there were 3 ambulances, and we got stuck at Knowlton's Corner, so there's not much I could do about it. Important thing tonight, as you know, and this may be a bit new for you, the Finneytown Civic Association has been in existence since 1981, not quite 40 years yet. As I understand it, we're the longest-running one in the township and probably the only active one left. When I moved here in 1991, there were 13 neighborhood associations, 9 were active, 1 charged dues and had money, and that was us. In the last 8 years, we've had the same executive committee board running the show, and we're tired. Most of us are getting ready to retire or have already retired. Our lives are going in different directions. And frankly, the township's been in good shape, so some of the reasons that we initially became in existence and continued to run were to act, frankly, as a watchdog and a liaison to the township. We have been involved in neighborhood patrols that's gone to various levels of activity and inactivity, snipe sign patrols, pulling down the wretched signs on the poles, attending the meetings, trying to be a information piece back to the community, things of that nature. We've had the longest running Meet the Candidates night in the county's history. We continued to do that last year, although we've had declining participation, possibly because people watch it online. It's filmed by other things. We no longer film with Waycross. We've had a scholarship fund where we've given anywhere from 2 to 4 scholarships a year to a deserving, community, active, interested high school student for college. We basically supported the township as volunteers and some to a more limited extent financially, most recently Winterfest, and we've done that now, I believe, the last 2 years. And we've tried to put the call out. We've marketed over 25,000 brochures just since I've been here. We've done at least 3 community-wide mailings to every zip code in the Finneytown and Springfield Township area. We're on social media. We've done that ever since Facebook hit the bricks. And we're still finding people saying, we don't know what you are and we didn't know you were here. I won't accept that. They haven't paid attention because I think we've probably been as active as what's reasonably possible for a group of volunteers, especially of our age group. I'm one of the youngest ones there, and I'm 64. What we've done in the last month or so is we're starting to investigate what do we have to do to disband as a 501c4, what do we do with our money, and what's the legal way to close it up? Because if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. That's being investigated right now. Dick Meyer and his wife Rhoda, to my knowledge, are the only living members of the original membership of the Finneytown Civic Association. They have recently moved and downsized into a smaller assisted living unit, and the history of the organization, which is in 2 filing cabinets, is now living in my basement. I happen to be the one that didn't say no quick enough, and Joe said, Robin can babysit it because she likes paper. So that's where we're at right now. We're going to meet March 14th, where it's an open meeting. Anyone in the community is willing to attend. Let me know about it. We're on social media. Just get your name there and how we can reach you. We haven't decided on a venue yet because it's going to depend on who shows up for the meeting. Hopefully at that meeting we'll know what we have to do to disband the articles, disconnect with the IRS, what we can and can't do with the remaining funds, and how to officially notify the membership and the dues-paying members right now exactly what we plan on doing. So I wanted to let you know what was going on. We'd like to see it go on. Personally, I'd like to stay involved as long as I'm either living here or alive. But we just can't carry the realm anymore. The 3 or 4 of us that have been carrying the ball, it's time to pass it on to someone with some new ideas and younger people. So if anyone here tonight hears it on the broadcast, trustees, staff, if any of you have any ideas, we welcome that. Please get a hold of us and let us know.
What time is your meeting, Robin, on the 14th?
We're going to meet on a Saturday. It's going to be March 14th at 9 a.m. We haven't decided where yet. A lot of the times I feed them. It's the board. But if there's 50 people going to show up, I can't handle that. My house isn't big enough. So it depends on, where we meet. It's going to depend on how many people we think are going to come. So you have my address. I'm probably crazy for doing it, but my cell phone is 513-608-2424. And Joe's is posted on the Facebook page for that. He's been open about that. He's also the community president now of the board over in Camp Washington, so he can also be reached at that office. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening?
I would like to know what's the process,
Could you state your name and
Elisa R. Thompson, 2272 Dublin Drive. I need to know what's the process for investigating how to get rid of feral cats. I have a neighbor that has anywhere upwards of 6 to 15 cats that they're feeding. It's awful. It's awful. She's been told, her and her husband have been told that they can't feed them. I've been there 4 years and they're repeatedly feeding them. It's feces all in my yard, everywhere. I can't even go in my backyard.
is this on Debke?
I'm sorry?
Did you say you're on Debke Drive?
Dublin.
Devlin, okay.
And there was an instance several months ago where the police was involved, whereas the police witnessed her feeding these cats in upwards to, at that point, I think it was 7. I've given them all the videos that we have. I reached out to the SPCA. They're unable to do anything. They just would catch them, neuter them, spay them, and then release them back into the community. It's a nuisance, and the police actually suggested that I come to the meeting so that someone could look into how you guys could go about getting an ordinance together regarding feral cats. That's the same look he had.
Yeah,
That's the same look
I
they
have a similar issue at my house. I have feral cats. I was told the exact same thing.
Well, this is unique because she actually, I keep saying she because she's the primary. They've built a makeshift house for these cats. They're all under my shed. It's awful.
Yeah,
It's awful.
I can empathize. I have similar problems. They drive my dogs crazy too, so I
I
get
just
it.
want something done.
And the thing is, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, jump in here. From a township legal perspective, we have zero jurisdiction over that. There's really nothing that we can do other than contact the SPCA as well. I mean, unfortunately, I think the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, even at this point, pretty much considers feral cats no differently than a squirrel. And while that seems asinine to you and I,
Absolutely.
that unfortunately, I think, is where the law stands right now, is that there really isn't anything that the township can do from a legislative standpoint, or frankly, from an enforcement standpoint, to do anything to prevent the issue that you're experiencing. The only thing we can do are talk to these people and explain to them that the issue that it's causing, but
They're not going to be
from,
effective.
and from an enforcement standpoint, we don't have a legal leg to stand on, unfortunately. And that's just because state law doesn't give us the authority to do anything about it. Now, would the Humane Society trap them, then keep them? No, I think they do exactly what you say, whereas they spay and neuter them and they release them back. Because again,
But they still poop and pee.
well, undoubtedly, they treat them like, unfortunately, the law treats them like any other wild animal.
Well, ironically, I looked that up. and I'm not for certain whether or not this is a township, but Garfield Heights, Ohio, a woman was incidentally spent some time in jail for this.
Yeah.
So is it just because it's a township, or?
Yes. Well, it's just because it's a township, and frankly, I would have to know more about that case, but my understanding would probably think that they did it under zoning,
Okay.
and they considered them to be her cats as opposed to wild animals, and then
I agree with that.
they gave her a violation for letting her domesticated, her owned animals run free, or having maybe too many beyond what the code allows for, is probably what happened. But you would have to prove that they're actually hers. And how you do that is a mystery to me.
I have the video.
I understand that, but I mean, I guess my point is,
Are they coming in and out of her house?
If they're feeding them, aren't they considered theirs?
I
do
mean,
you feed squirrels? Are they
No,
yours?
no, tree
My
rides.
point.
But so they're not considered hers, they feed them.
No, not even if you
No.
feed them. Not even if you provide temporary shelter,
No.
because it's trying to do a nice thing to keep something alive.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not saying we don't empathize. I'm just trying to give you the realistic situation that,
I was just recommended to come here because.
Yeah.
From a law enforcement officer, and because it's awful. It's.
Yeah.
It is.
what we can do, we will follow up,
Okay.
and we will have a conversation with these people, whether they're receptive or not,
Oh, absolutely not.
we'll see. But
What about Board of Health? Could there be,
it's not in her house.
It's not our
I
house,
contacted them as well, and
no, but it's in her yard.
over 2 yards.
Right, but
you would think, I mean, my granddaughters have never been in my backyard to play, and that was one of the
I
reasons.
mean, I have a similar issue with deer. I just put in $4,000 worth of landscaping, and the deer are using it as a salad bar.
Yeah.
So I understand, except that, and I have neighbors that feed deer.
They're roaming because we invaded their habitat, not that someone physically has.
I agree.
invaded their habitat.
I agree. Believe me, I understand. So we will follow up legally. We'll do what we can, which is admittedly very little, unfortunately.
Well, and I'll look at it again, because it's been a bit since we looked at it. If you give me your contact info, we can,
Can we write down your number on here so we have it?
well, you just have her ready to,
Yeah, that'd be.
that it's not on the.
It's not on the film. or-
The issue is, I mean, charter municipalities can do a lot of things that, like, regular villages and cities can't, and we can't.
Mr. Garrett.
We'll follow up.
I own a piece of property within the city, and I've been dealing with that same problem for about 7 years. And what she is speaking of is a nuisance. I went to the SPCA, I went to the city of Cincinnati, I went to the police, I went to judges. There's nothing on the books. Nothing on the books. If the people don't want to stop feeding, first of all, that's the problem. The food is out there, and as long as they're being fed, they're gonna come back. So, what can we do? Because whatever you decide to do for her, I want to know so I can use it for my property that I got here in the city. So I would hope that somebody can do some kind of act so that this can be remedied. This is the problem. When that rain hits that ground, there's an unbearable scent that comes up that you cannot get rid of. Okay? At least do something to help us out. Okay? And I didn't come here for that, but I'm glad she put it on the floor. I can talk about it from personal experience. It's a nuisance, really. And it's hard for me to keep a tenant in that house, but I've got somebody in there that don't mind. They got a dog, and the dog will work for them. So,
Well, the thing about township government is we're a limited government, we're a statutory government, we only have the powers that the state gives us. One of the things that I am thinking is we have a Ohio Township Association meeting coming up in a few weeks, later this month in Columbus. I know some of my board members are going to be attending that meeting, and it might be something that we need to bring up with other elected officials at the township level and possibly there could be something done through the legislature to, get a representative to sponsor a bill to see if there's some way to address this, because they're different than a squirrel, or,
I
Yeah.
believe, I understand that. That's
Yeah.
just, the law treats them the same as my.
I know, but maybe it's time that there is some legislation to address the problem. So that's something that I think we could certainly, I don't know that we have the solution, unfortunately, for you, but it's something we can bring up at the state level and see if I'm sure we're not the only jurisdiction in Ohio that's got this problem. So, well, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? It appears that we do not have any other takers. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Seconded?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
I want to thank everyone for coming this evening, and we'll see you back here. Our next regular meeting is February 11th, 2020.